Hi, so I'm from South Sudan. I was born in the middle of all the crazy stuff happening, where it was a choice between women having to decide to keep their newborn babies or to leave them, just leave them, like on the side of the whatever, like in the bush, just because the rebels were like trying to find any little noise that you would make. They were coming and they were like slaughtering and killing everybody, and it didn't matter who you were. Women had to make that choice to like either leave the newborn baby because you can't hush them up. It's like they cry when they want to cry, or they're hungry, they cry. So yeah, so women had to decide either risk my whole family dying or leave this one child. So I was not in the hospital. So my mom was like escaping running away from the rebels, and she was pregnant. So I was like premature baby, 7 months. And so my mom decided to keep me because maybe I was a quiet baby. It's a crazy thing in Sudan, and in a lot of African countries, where women have to really decide what to do with their families, because at that point a lot of them don't have husbands because they were killed in the war or displaced. So yeah, we became refugees, and we moved to Kenya, where I spent, my childhood was really in Kenya in the refugee camp. Lived there for about 7 years. It was horrible. It was just like, it was dust everywhere, flies everywhere. It was like literally like you see in the movies. It was just like hot, hot. No water. There's a time that the water will come on and they'll cut it off a certain time. So people would legit have to like wait in line for like hours until the water came, because if you have that span of time where they'll turn on the water and you don't make it, then you don't take a shower, and you can't cook, you can't do anything. So people would legit have to fight to get to make sure they get a bit of water. And it's not even like clean water. Let's not forget about that. It's like just dirty water, that people are like drinking. It really bothers me that we talk so much about abortion here. Abortion's wrong, blah 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 blah. But in essence, is it really, how wrong is it really when a woman gets raped and is getting beaten by this person, and they didn't even want the baby. And sometimes these kids are like really young that are getting raped. Like if a 12-year-old's getting raped, which happens across everywhere. Especially in Africa, we don't protect the children that we have right now, but what we want to do is protect a child that doesn't have a name. With South Sudanese, I'm not even going to say the whole Africa in general, but it is the whole Africa in general. But when a girl reaches like puberty, so when they get their period, it's like straight away they are looked at as like, okay, that's someone's wife. Everybody, the whole community gets along, and it's almost like a bidding game, who has more wealth to marry this person, this little girl. No matter how the man could be like 90 years old, literally, they can be like that old, and this girl could be like 12, 13, and they'll come in and they it's like they have money, then the family gives that little girl to that man. They can't go to school because there's that whole thing where there's no supplies, like no pads, no tampons, so they just sort of like, as soon as that happens, it's like it's all bets off. It's just like, you're gonna be a wife, you're gonna stay home now, you're trained to be a wife, and that's just what it is. You don't have any more dreams of, you know, I don't even know if you even had dreams to start with, because I think you just kind of like, the minute that you're born and they see that you're a girl, you are someone's wife. If you turn 17, 18 and you're not married, you're looked at as like, what's wrong with you? With most places in Africa, when and men will divorce or they will leave their wives that they're marrying, they try to have babies and they can't have babies. It's like, what's wrong with you? Like, everything's always, what's wrong with the woman? It's not like, okay, maybe something's wrong, did we check her out in the hospital? Like, nobody checks it. It's just like, something's wrong with you. You're probably just like a whore or something, like, you mess around too much and that's what happened. Or like, it's they just get shamed. Women get shamed for everything, they get shamed for having their period. They get shamed for not being able to carry a child, having a miscarriage. A woman will get beaten for having a miscarriage because it's their fault somehow. Once they get married, and all these horrible things are happening, and we have the system which is dowry. So the man's family pays for the woman. So with that being said, it's like, okay, your family spend that money, or send like cows. Our system is cows. They pay the woman's family 100 cows or whatever, and for them it's like wealth. For us, like cows, kettles are like wealth. So once that happens, it's like transaction. That's it. Like you can't get a refund, especially when you cannot get when your family is not well off. And so the family will do what they can to keep you in that marriage. They're not gonna back you up and say, oh, this person's beating you up so bad. It's just like, just stick it up, just deal with it. You have these women that are stuck in these marriages. They can't do anything. They're not educated. They can't provide for their kids. They can't do anything. And if they left, they wouldn't be able to take their children anyways. And even like their moms not supporting them, saying, okay, like this is bad, because their moms probably went through the same thing. So it just becomes a cycle that just continues, and the same women, these little girls are gonna be mothers again, and the same cycle just keeps going and going. The women of Africa are getting abused, they're getting raped, everything's happening to them, but nobody is paying attention to that. It seems like everybody's paying attention to the kids, which is great, but where are the kids without the women? With like Sudanese, they have that saying, like women die together, girls die together. So protect your sister type of thing. So I mean, there's always been that strong bond with women in Sudan. I would say, but again, it's just like without education for women, there is just like they just don't see anything else. They're just there for the man. Like it's like the man is God, and we were there to entertain and be there for them, whatever they need sexually. You cook, you clean, you have babies. That's all you do your whole life. If I was back home and I saw like a child marriage, I mean, first I'd be very disturbed. I think it's it keeps me awake at night, honestly. But I think the only advice that I can give, which I don't think I can actually even have like the right thing to ever say to somebody that's going through something like that. But it's just like, keep your head up, and things will get better. Just make sure that the next generation is not gonna, make sure that you're not gonna do the same thing to your child. That's all you can do, because I can never go in there and be like, oh no, 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 you don't do it, just run away. Because where you gonna run to? And make sure that everything that you're going through, remember that, and don't just be like, oh, it's tradition, I'm just gonna do the same thing to my child.